Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Please, may we get to meet you, ma'am?
I'm Joy Ngozi Ezeilo, the founder and director of Women's Aid Collective, also the UN Special Rapporteur on Trafficking in Persons, especially women and children. I'm also a law teacher. I teach law at the Faculty of Law, University of Nigeria, Enugu campus. I would say a human rights activist and a scholar and one who champions the cause of the vulnerable.
Thank you very much, ma. They're a very short one, but I would say that's a very rich CV. Having listened to your presentations in there, we really want to know what brought you here, ma.
I was invited to give a keynote speech on this issue of baby factory conundrum, and then I looked at the impunity of trafficking in children and babies for adoption and for other diabolical purposes, and the issue of forced pregnancy as well. And I believe that the time to act is now to stop this form of human trafficking, and then also to check the menace or the ugly phenomena of baby factories that, as we have come to know them, especially in the southeast of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, ma. From the presentation we heard inside the hall, we learned that these baby factories predominant in the southeast is run as a syndicate, which now makes it very impossible for government agencies responsible for arresting and prosecuting such perpetrators. What advice will you give to the government?
The government can fight the menace. It's easy to find out people who are doing that. I agree it's part of organized crime, and I agree that people in the medical profession are involved, doctors, nurses, and even others, and purely the motive is to make money. And once it's money making, people are so desperate. And again, there is also demand, because there are people who genuinely need to adopt children, but again, we need to do it legally, following laid down procedure. That's why I know that law is not a panacea, but the useful beginning is to have an appropriate adoption law, have a comprehensive child's right law, and then we have also NAPTIP and the trafficking laws, including one that prohibit child labor. If all of these laws, where we have laws, they are implemented, and I believe NAPTIP is doing a good work, but we need to create more awareness so that people can recognize these symptoms, and we also need to create awareness that will target stigmatization of adopted children and adoptive parents, and then also the discrimination they face. Let's face it, in Igbo land, people look down to people who they feel they are adopted. They insult them, which shouldn't be, because we should come to accept them. If we do that, that's why people go to a great extent to hide the fact that they've adopted children. So that is at the root of the problem, and there is a growing demand for these children, for couples who are childless who want to adopt. And if there is a demand, the supply will not be in shortfall. So that is part of the problem. In fact, actually, because supply cannot even match the demand now, the growing demand, the prices have gone up, and people are making money, so they can see they can easily make money. That's why the impunity continues. So I believe the government should regulate all institutions that have to deal with issues around children, motherless babies home, hospitals where people give birth, record births, record deaths. Once they do their work, the problem will be halfway solved. Then we now target public awareness, target cultural practices that promote this phenomenon. Once we're able to deal with that, improve on school curriculum, sex education, that will also check the incidence of unwanted pregnancies. If we do all of that, it's a multi-sectorial approach that is required. It's also multi-pronged action that is required. Once we do that, I'm sure we will get there. But I don't believe in thinking that the problem is unsolvable. It is, because the people making money will definitely, because of corruption, they will do everything to make sure that they continue to make money. So we have to promote zero tolerance. If they see that there is no consequences, people are not punished, for perpetrators are not punished, and they can escape by paying their way through, then they continue in the nefarious activities. That's why this is criminal. It is a crime against humanity to even force a woman to bear pregnancy to term, keep them in captivity, they have the children or exploit them in that process. All of these practices we need to check. In Nigeria, it has reached unenviable proportion in Nigeria, and I recognize it even in my work at the UN level, that people can traffic people for the purposes of illegal adoption. But in Nigeria's system now, we know that they are also trafficked for the purposes of diabolical means, using them in rituals, and that's horrible. So when we look at the end users, to what use they put these children, every parent should work hard, men, women, to check that this practice stop.
Thank you, Ma. Please, we would like to know if the Southeast has been a victim of negative press hype, or is it really true that in the Southeast we have the highest rate of baby factories?
It may not be so, but I can tell you clearly, first of all, I wouldn't even just restrict to Southeast, but maybe in terms of cultural and religious differences, the problem will be prevalent more in southern Nigeria than northern Nigeria. Because if you look at northern Nigeria, the system, particularly under Islamic law, they don't recognize adoption. So they have already a system in place, kafala, and fostering is already happening. So the demand will not be there much. So, but the demand is in southern Nigeria. And why Southeast is also because of issues around inheritance, issues around how people treat childless couple, inheritance follows the lineage. So all of these things make it shroud in secrecy. And the people who need this have to turn to get it somewhere somehow. So, but I don't think it's a problem just for the Southeast. Granted, maybe it has come to open more in the Southeast, that we have noticed it. It will be going on also in other parts of Nigeria, and we've had cases here and there in other parts of Nigeria, and even including those who are trying to traffic young girls out of the borders of Nigeria. So it is not restricted here, but we have seen a number of cases in the Southeast to the level of concern to all stakeholders. But again, it is not just about how Southeast. We have to look at it, but definitely even in terms of statistics, that it will affect the whole Nigeria, I still believe southern Nigeria will have a greater proportion of this phenomenon and baby factories than in northern Nigeria, for obvious reasons.
Thank you, Ma. As a Nigerian, I believe you're a stakeholder in the Nigerian polity. How will you rate the level of insecurity in Nigeria today?
We know that we live in an unsecured Nigeria now. Human security now is not just about freedom from fear and want. It is seriously about freedom from fear, even more than want now. People live with their eyes half closed. People sleep now with their eyes half closed. You don't know where to go. You don't know whether to go to church, to worship, or to go shopping, or to go to market. There is a whole lot of panic in the people. And that is, I think, the intention of this terrorist group and Boko Haram, to instill fear so that you don't feel safe again. And if that is part of the objective, I think they've achieved that. And we need to counter that. And we need to also encourage people to really embrace their social life, because they're not going to run away. I can't accept the fact that somebody can say, as a Christian, you no longer go to church. But I believe that we need to beef up security. Those in authorities need to assure us that security is their priority, and securities of citizens and their property. And the citizens also have to join, because these days what we talk about is community policing. And I believe that Nigeria is missing one fundamental issue. Policing is local. Security is local. I don't believe in this Nigerian approach, where maybe somebody from not an area is sent far away from the area where they don't speak the language, and they engage, whether as a police or any of the security agencies. We should emphasize that and begin urgent action to make it local. People who should populate police in any state of the federation should be people 80%